joining us, the New York mayor tweeted this, referring to the NBA players getting special access to testing. Quote, "We wish them a speedy recovery, but with all due respect, an entire NBA team should not get tested for COVID-19 where there are critically ill patients waiting to be tested. Tests should not be for the wealthy, but for the sick." The NBA's executive director is disappointed in the criticism NBA teams like the Nets have gotten from politicians such as New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio for being tested for COVID-19. Roberts told our Ramona Shelburne, "There's nothing irresponsible. If you've got that information that you've been exposed about trying to get the test, the problem is that more of us can't get the test. And I'm not apologetic about saying it. In my view, that rests at the foot of our federal government." On that note, we bring back in our Jay Williams. And Jay, we want to get your take on this subject.
Yeah, guys, I think this is very murky water. In a time of crisis, I think you can have a lot of extremes, and those extremes are only seen through those individuals and their own perspectives. And look, I think in these type of moments, you have to show empathy because I live here in Brooklyn, living right across the river from Manhattan. Manhattan in the last 2 days has been in a state of a crisis. I mean, we've had 1,000 confirmed cases in 2 days. And these numbers are going up as we get more and more testing. And you can only imagine the kind of pressure on Mayor de Blasio. Once again, I don't think it makes what he said correct, but I think he's under intense pressure and scrutiny with all these people that are trying to look for answers. People are confused and they're trying to look for answers. And then I look and I really commend Adam Silver and Michele Roberts with the way they handled that, because if you listen to the rest of the interview with Rachel Nichols, which is a great interview, by the way, and you hear Adam Silver say that we employ close to 55,000 people worldwide. And, you know, Max, I go back to the original point that you just made. Wouldn't it be nice to turn on the TV and just to see guys playing a way to distract yourself for 1 second throughout the course of the day where you're not bogged down listening to all this stuff? And Adam Silver's trying to understand, what do I do? What's in the best interest of our players and our people? We're going through private institutions. By the way, these are public health scenarios in which OKC demanded that they give testing. Okay, it wasn't them going through private institutions at that time. So I think everybody's trying to figure out what the answers are. But I do commend Adam Silver for not swinging back at Mayor de Blasio, taking a stance for what he had to do with the private institutions they work with, and they're trying to do what's in the best interest of their players, because their players affect a lot of people worldwide as well. So I think it's very murky water all the way around.
It is murky water, Jay, and I want to throw this back to you and Max specifically in regards to where my point is coming from as it pertains to Mayor de Blasio. I think it's important that we recognize the fact that you have people out there making accusations that the government should have had more tests readily available. They're making accusations that, the test wasn't readily available because they knew that ultimately the numbers would be high and it would have a negative effect on the economy. You have a reporter just a couple of days ago that got shut down because she was addressing the president, asking the question about the watch group that was instituted years ago under the Obama administration, and ultimately he let go of that watch group, which, by the way, supposedly caught the Ebola and the swine and the bird flu before that proliferated or whatever. I don't know the answer to those questions. I don't know what specific questions should have been asked, guys, as it pertains to that. But notice I'm bringing that up because that's all questions relevant to elected officials. So when a mayor in the media capital of the world, the largest city in the United States, when the mayor chooses to point the finger at an NBA team or the NBA brand as opposed to looking at himself or upwards within the federal government, meaning their stratosphere, that's where it becomes problematic. We can use the word murky, Jay Williams, to elevate your point, and I get that. My whole point is you can point the finger at an NBA team or the NBA brand, with all the stuff that's going on state, local, and federal levels. You literally have the temerity, the unmitigated gall to sit up there and go on Twitter to point to the NBA. I think that's egregious because that's evading the real issue. Because the real resolution is where those elected officials are and what work they're doing. And that's all I want to say about that.
Stephen A., I think you make a powerful point there. In other words, that is the reason it smells political to you. And whatever good message is there, whatever message there is like, hey, let's hope that everyone has access to these tests and the priority is based on who needs it most, is kind of muddied for you because you see obvious political motives there. I think that's probably right. That said, Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, has tweeted recently in the last, couple hours, that 38% of hospitalizations for the coronavirus occurred between the age of 20 and 50. So these young people on spring break in Florida now think, oh, it's fine. No, you get hospitalized. 38% of the cases are 20 to 50, relatively young people. And in terms of what you said about government response, Stephen A., instead of pointing toward the commissioner of a league who's trying to do what's best for the people about whom he's responsible or for whom he's responsible, the first coronavirus case arrived in the United States and South Korea, I believe on the same date, January 19th. Look at the difference in responses. Look at how far behind we are. South Korea, we're the United States of America. So you're right. If people are playing the blame game, even politically, rather than looking at an organization like the NBA, who I think has handled this very responsibly, and Adam Silver and Michele Roberts on the same page there, look at the highest levels of our federal government. Because they haven't.
Stephen A., I wanted to go back at what you said to a degree, because I'm with you. Is this being politicized? You're damn right it's being politicized to a degree. And those remarks should go towards the White House. They should go towards the White House instead of the NBA. But where the murky water happens for de Blasio, and once again, I'm agreeing with you, Stephen A., is that he's saying I need to work with the White House. So if I attack the White House, will I get the same kind of response time? So I agree with you. We're on the same page. I do think that he is trying to individually attack somebody via Twitter, and I don't think that's the right move to go about it. But I'm also trying and praying that I'm trying to understand what position that he's in at that given time, because the amount of pressure that he's in right now in a city where everybody's coming to him looking for answers and nobody has any damn answers. That's the problem. People are coming out saying, oh, it's going to affect this amount of people or this amount of people, and nobody knows. Nobody has no damn clue. So, yes, I think he is trying to attack one entity, which is not the right way to do it. But I'm trying to put myself in his position, which, once again, is not making it right, Stephen A. But who the hell knows what the hell he's trying to do here? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows, but I do know this much. He needs to get on the same page with his governor, the governor of New York State, because they seem to have a different point of view as to what should be transpiring in New York City. Maybe you should handle that rather than taking time to go on Twitter and point the finger at the NBA. Let's be clear about that. But secondly, and more importantly, the reason why I brought those things up, I'm not trying to get political here. I'm saying they need to get even more political from the standpoint of handling their business. And I'm not saying they're not doing that now, but clearly if everybody was on the same page and on the ball addressing this with the level of fervor it deserved from the initial process, that's something that could have alleviated some of the problems, at least some would think. And right now, what de Blasio is alluding to is a level of elitism. Well, guess what? It's a capitalistic society. And sometimes you're going to have that existing, because if you are in a position where you have influence with the masses and enough money can be generated ultimately, and you're employing over 55,000 people with one league, and Lord knows how many other people are being employed with football, baseball, and beyond. Sometimes in a capitalistic society, those things are going to happen. De Blasio and every elected official knows that, and this ain't the time to be complaining about that. It's the time to come together and use those resources to get done what needs to get done.
I agree.
Although I appreciate the point, as I said earlier, I do think there's a good counter argument to that. In terms of, in terms of, I'm sorry, we can move on.
Okay. I'm just going to say this here, and clearly I'm not going to get involved in politics. That's all above my pay grade. But as we all have the luxury to work from home, if other people do, we encourage them to stay home, practice social distancing like we are. As Max mentioned, it's not just about your own personal health. It's about the health of others. Jay, thank you so much for being with us. We always appreciate your perspective, and please stay safe.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
When we come back on First Take, who will have more success as the greatest tandem in football goes their separate ways? Brady or Belichick? The Killer Bees next. Ryan Clark will be here.